In stage 14, we learn that Latin adjectives have to agree with the noun they describe. This isn't going to be a new concept for you because you've studied French or Spanish, but there are some slight differences in Latin that we need to be aware of. But just think back to what you learned in French and Spanish to help you. So we know that adjectives are describing words. They're used to describe nouns, and just like you learned in French or Spanish, they have to agree with the noun they describe. So this means that they need to have, in Latin, the same case, the same number, and the same gender. Now case and number we've learnt with nouns already, we should be familiar with this. Gender, you can apply what you know from French or Spanish. There are 3 genders in Latin: masculine, feminine, and neuter. Unfortunately, it's not as simple as saying that masculine is for male things, feminine is for female things, and gender is for, neuter is for things that aren't either of those. Unfortunately, things can be masculine or feminine as well as neuter, as we'll see. The good news, however, is that adjective endings are the same as noun endings, and because you know these off by heart, this will be really easy for you. So adjectives fall into 2 groups. Group 1 takes its endings from declensions 1 and 2, and Group 2 takes its endings from declension 3. So let's have a look at what that looks like. So here is Group 1, and we've got the endings that we know so far. So for masculine, you'll notice that these are exactly the same as declension 2. Okay, so masculine comes from declension 2 because it turns out that a lot of nouns that belong to declension 2 are masculine. The feminine comes from declension 1 because a lot of nouns in declension 1 are feminine, and so they tend to end in A. The neuter also comes from declension 2, and this is something new that we're going to keep working on this year. You'll notice that the only different endings are the nominative singular and the nominative and accusative plural. So um instead of us, and a instead of I or os. But other than that, it's exactly the same as the masculine, and we have met some neuter nouns already, we just didn't know it. Group 2, remember, comes from declension 3. Masculine and feminine have the same endings, and you'll know these endings from declension 3, so starting with various, em, and so on. Neuter, again, is very similar, except that it has a various ending instead of em in the accusative singular, and again we've got a for the nominative and accusative plural. So it's not too tricky, this agreement of adjectives. You've been translating adjectives all along, but now we're just being more aware of it. The one thing that you may find conceptually difficult is that while the endings have to be grammatically the same, they're not necessarily going to be the exact same endings. So if we look at this example here, milites sunt fortes, the soldiers are brave. This is easy. We can tell that milites and fortes go together because it's the same 2 letters. es and es. However, if we look at a different noun, for example, viri sunt fortes, the men are brave, you'll notice that the I and the es look different. However, they go together because they are both masculine nominative plural. So in declension 2, that is an I. In declension 3, that is an es. And so all these nouns and adjectives are masculine nominative plural, but just be aware that although it needs to be the same grammatically, it might not be the same exact letters. Looking at another example here, puellam calidam laudamus, we praise the clever girl. Again, it's easy to tell that puellam and calidam go together, it's exactly the same letters. However, if we take a feminine noun from a different declension, like infantem, meaning child, notice how, again, calidam stays the same. So this is the accusative singular feminine ending, because both puellam and infantem are feminine, accusative, and singular. They just belong to different declensions. We will keep practicing this, and you will be more comfortable with it over time. So just to recap our key points, we now know that Latin adjectives have to agree or match the noun they describe in case, number, and gender. And sometimes this is easy, but sometimes it's a bit more tricky because the ending is always grammatically identical, but this isn't necessarily going to be the same endings. Alright, we'll work on this in class. See you there.